Good evening. Happy Tuesday. I am Jillian Willey. For anyone new to our group or even our returning members, I am Jillian Willey. I am a mindset coach here with Exo Universe, and we have Dr. Matthew Singer.
Hello, everybody. I'm part of the whole group as well. And it's so awesome to be with you guys tonight. We have an awesome presentation. And so you want to give a little introduction on what it's going to be about?
Absolutely. So tonight we're going to be talking about how to understand your child. I've had a lot of clients come to me and they're just not sure what to do, why their children are having behaviors, or why their child is doing this or saying this, or what do I do? They're struggling. So we thought it would be really nice to come on and just kind of give everyone who is wondering and has those same questions, some tips on what you can do to better understand your child.
Awesome. So over the last couple of days, we've had a lot of questions come in from our group, our followers, and they asked a couple questions. So these are the most common questions that came up. So if you're ready, I'm going to ask you the first question. This is what they want to know the most. So the first is, what is a paradigm?
Paradigms. Okay, so this is the key to understanding what is going on with your child. So a paradigm is a mix of a couple of different things. It's a mix of behaviors, thoughts, and feelings that result in a pattern. So just to give you some examples that you might resonate with, your morning routine. A lot of people, they get up and they follow the same routine. Maybe, you brush your teeth and then you get dressed and you have breakfast. Whatever your routine is, if you do the same thing every morning, so much so that you don't even have to think about it, you could do it with your eyes closed, which probably a lot of people do. That is a paradigm. When you're driving to work, how many of you, out there have said to yourself, how did I get here? I don't even remember the drive, right? It went so fast. Well, your paradigm kicked in and you just got to work. Mannerisms, like the way you cross your arms. If you go ahead right now and cross your arms, my left hand is on the outside. And it's natural. It's your paradigm. Some people cross the other way with their right hand on the outside. So these are all patterns. And even our thoughts are patterns, have patterns within them and our paradigms. Just to give you an example of that, if you say, I can't afford this. If that's something that you're saying a lot and you're feeling and thinking like you can't afford things, maybe like things for yourself, clothing, makeup, whatever it is. If you constantly say, I can't afford this, that becomes a paradigm. It's a pattern. You don't even have to think about it. So everyone has a plethora, millions of paradigms, and we don't even realize it. So we're going to get to the bottom of the why. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. Why, the why of the behavior. That is what's going to help change the paradigm. So first we say, why is the paradigm here? And then we can work on changing it. So most people, when they are working with children, working with themselves too, and trying to figure out why behaviors are popping up, they're very surface level. And they don't really get to the bottom, to dig deeper. They'll say things like, you know better. Why did you do that? So if your child, let's say they tracked mud in your house, for example, and you say, well, you know better. Why did you do that? You know to take your shoes off. And the kid might say, I don't know. And I know I've been, this has been me as the adult in the situation. You say, well, of course, you know better. Like that, and the child might really not know, because it's a paradigm. So they might say, yeah, I do know that I'm supposed to take my shoes off, but I didn't think about it because it's a paradigm not to. Um,
Mhm.
some better examples, because that one's probably not the best example. Parents, sorry, teachers in the classroom. A lot of times students will not raise their hand. And I know that's something that we work on traditional school systems. You're supposed to raise your hand to ask a question or if you need something. And traditionally at the end of the year, come April, May, there are still a handful of kids that are coming up to you and don't raise your hand. And, we say, well, why? Why aren't you raising your hand? You know better. You're supposed to, that you're supposed to do that. And the children say, I don't know why I'm not doing it. I know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know. And it's because it's their paradigm. At home, they don't have to raise their hand, right? So we're going from your life of I can just speak freely when I want to, and now all of a sudden you're telling a child, bam, you have to raise your hand anytime you want to speak. So that's a
So,
big
Jill,
paradigm.
this kind of goes along with what you're saying, because the second question was where do paradigms come from? So that probably, and not to cut you off, you can kind of segue into that,
Mhm.
the origin of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So paradigms are passed down. Well, there's a few different places that they come from. So I'm going to share where they can come from, and it can be a mix of all of these different things. So one is they can be passed down from the parents, or even a past life. So when we are born into this world, we take on things from our parents, and we can keep things from our past lives, because at the root of it all, we are a soul deep down, and our soul has lived many lives before. So some of those paradigms just come from who we are at the soul of us. They can also come from learned behaviors. So this would be things from our parents that we saw or see on a daily basis, or from your environment. If there was another family member that you grew up with, your economic status, the culture that you are in, if you grow up in a certain development, maybe you get together a lot, that kind of thing. So they definitely come from the environment that the child was raised in. Um, it also comes from our self-image. So this is a big one that a lot of people don't even realize has any effect or can even be changed. But our self-image plays a big part in this. So we all have something called a servo mechanism. A servo mechanism is the path that you're on. It's like think about like a ship. And ships have a navigation system. So it's our navigation system. So if you have a ship that is programmed to go east, let's say, and then something happens and it gets off track, well, then the servo mechanism is going to bring it back on track, do whatever it has to do to get it to go east. So we have that same thing. However we see ourselves, that is what our servo mechanism is going to drive us to do. And we don't even have a chance to develop our own self-image before our environment tells us what our self-image should be. And this comes from what we hear about ourselves when we are growing up. Maybe we heard that we're good or we're bad, or that we're a good artist, or that we're silly, or that we're messy, or that we're anxious. All of those words, when we tell our children that, they take that on. And the more you tell your child, or the more they hear it from different people through auto suggestion, it's going to become who they align with. Whether they want to or not, it's going to become their self-image.
Okay.
It also
So
comes.
it's also another way. Would you say that's like another way of looking at our inner being?
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. That's also kind of the last one here, that I was thinking about is your life is like a looking glass. So meaning what you feel, who you are, on the inside, that is going to reflect on the outside, and that's going to be reflected in your paradigms as well. How we react to situations, that is the reflection of us. So we cannot, how people behave, that's a reflection of them, but how we react is a reflection of us. So if you're very chaotic and feeling overwhelmed and stressed, then that's going to reflect out in the way you react. So if your child is feeling any kind of negative stress, chaos, like I was just saying, then that's going to present in their behavior, and how they react to certain situations. And similarly, if they're feeling good and calm and at ease.
Okay, so this leads to the next question that people asked was, what specifically do you do?
So you know what the paradigms are, and now you're ready to move forward. Well, now it's time to teach your child how to change their paradigms. If you want to change behavior, you need to get to the why, like I was saying before, of why is this paradigm happening? And we have to teach the child how to change the paradigm and how to change their self-image. So this is what I help in Matt as well. Of course, what we help people do, learning how to change paradigms, how to change your self-image, so that you can help your child. Also, this can come through with modeling. So something else you can do is modeling the process. We want to help our children change their paradigms. Well, let's change our paradigms too. Everyone has paradigms that they want to change in some way. So if we model changing our own paradigms, then we are therefore showing our children, because they look at everything that we do, right? So that's a really powerful way to influence your children. Also modeling, the behavior that we want our children to have, because children do pick up on what we're doing. They're always looking. So what we do becomes their paradigm. So if we change our paradigm, and model the behavior we want them to be seeing, then they will start taking that on as well.
Okay.
And then also, one of my favorite things, like, to help people, this is one of my favorite things to help people with, because I went through this. I have 2 toddlers and I'm still working through it, but it's so powerful to be able to help yourself and your children. So I just love helping people with this. So powerful.
Awesome. So then the next question, which came up a lot, was, what about behaviors my child can't control because of ADHD?
So this is a big, as you said, this is a big one. I hear so often, my child has ADHD or this or that or whatnot. So something that's really important to understand about ADHD or any illness or condition or pain that you have or your child has, they are all manifestations. So it might have been something through the soul contract that the soul decided, I want to deal with this, or it could be something that manifests. So it could be stress, it could be trauma, it could be any kind of negative, not having a voice, not feeling heard. There are a number of things, but they manifest, if not dealt with properly and carefully, they manifest as these different conditions, and ADHD is one of them. So these are all things that can be treated and healed naturally. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Um, and I know we've done other classes about how to handle that, and there's a lot more to come. And I know there's a lot to go over with, but in the short time, there's still more questions. So the next question is, um, it's kind of a two-part question. This is a big one. So why doesn't my child sleep through the night, and is that a paradigm?
Mhm. Absolutely, it is. So there's 2 parts to this question. So not sleeping is a paradigm. Now it starts, thinking about a little baby when they're born, it starts as a need. So, babies need to wake up however much, through the night to get the nutrition that they need to grow and develop properly. So think about, for the all the months that that the babies need to be waking up and do wake up for reasons X, Y, and Z, whether it's comfort or food or whatnot, it becomes a paradigm at that point because they have done it constantly, right? And they've gotten the reinforcement, they get the love that they need, the attention, the food, what have you. So it becomes their pattern. So what starts as a need becomes a paradigm. So I have dealt with this multiple times with my children. I have 2 children, and when they were a little bit older in their toddlerhood, I finally learned about all of this and learned that it's a paradigm. And I was able to influence them into sleeping through the night without all of the struggle that I dealt with when they were little itty bitty babies. And I know a lot of other parents deal with because we think this is just the way it is, that there's nothing we can do, that we have to just let them cry or, let it pass. But it is a paradigm. And at the end of the day, let's say we let our child cry, well, we're changing the paradigm. So that's why eventually they stop waking up through the night. But then there's a lot of other damage that came from the method because we forced the change. So there is a process. The process that we teach our clients of how to change paradigms works for getting children to sleep. And I used it very successfully with both of my children. Within a week, I was able to get both of them sleeping through the night. One was going through a 2-year sleep regression, and my 3-year-old was going through a transition from crib to bed. And even now, about a week ago or so, my 3-year-old started boycotting bedtime again. He didn't want to go to bed. So I said, oh, all right, we're bringing this back out. And then within 2 nights, he's back to, okay, 8:30, I'm in bed. So it's very quick and effective once you know the process. And we have a program also that we do with our clients all about sleep. So that's been really powerful as well.
Yeah. So that was the main questions there, but I want to ask you one question.
Sure.
So when a child is misbehaving, whether it's anger, whether it's some kind of behavioral issue, how much of that is actually the parent?
It depends on the child, but children take on energy too. Everybody does. So there's a lot of things, and it really depends on the person and the situation, and we have to get in and evaluate and read the energy, see what's going on. But just like I was saying, because paradigms can come from so many different places and behaviors are paradigms at the end of the day. So it can come from the parents. Absolutely. If the parents have negative energy, it can absolutely happen. Actually, this is something that I've heard a lot. That kids act different in different places or with different people. So when that happens, like they're an angel at school, let's say, and then they're, the opposite at home. I was that way as a child personally. It's partly because of the energy. Absolutely.
Yes. I see that in my practice as well. So it's so interesting. So those were the main questions, and it's so fascinating because this topic, obviously, we can go on for hours with this topic. Are there any other questions that you see popping up right now?
I actually am not in the group. It usually pops up for me, but it hasn't the past couple times we've gone live. Let me pop in real quick. I'll see if anything came up. Okay, here we go.
So there's one question that popped up here. You want me to read it to you for you?
Sure, yeah.
They said, what can I do when I'm at my wit's end with my child?
I would say it's evaluating what's going on, getting to the bottom of why is this behavior showing up? That is absolutely the key. Because a lot of times, as I mentioned before, we go very, very surface level and we don't really get to the true root cause of why is this happening. It can be very therapeutic and very eye-opening to understand why. And oftentimes we'll realize as the adult in the situation that it stemmed with us. I know I see this a lot with my own children. I really think back and dig deep and say, was it something that I said? Was it something I attracted? Was it a behavior that I exhibited myself? Is it my energy? And a lot of times it will come back to something that kind of has to do with me as the mommy. So I would say first evaluating the why, and then going through the process of helping your child change the paradigm, and also changing the way you react, which is changing a paradigm in and of itself. But changing how you react is going to influence the situation in a very different way as well.
Right. Yeah, that's right. It always starts with us, changing the way we act and respond and changing our perception. So this was awesome, Jill. Really, I know we can go on for hours. And for people listening, obviously some of you know, some of you don't know, we do have our own boutique coaching uh, company where we do have a lot of clients that we work with. And if someone is out there struggling or needs a change or is really looking to break through in their life, that's what we're all about. So come check us out at exo/universe.com um, and any last thing you want to say, Joe?
Um, I kind of second that. Any questions you have, we're always open to help, and that's what we're here for. You can also check out our website, exo-universe.com. We have a bunch of information. We have a blog that's updated. We have a YouTube channel. You can check us out on our social media and also see upcoming events. We have an amazing event planned next month on November 17th that is going to be out of this world. If you have any kind of stress, we did a little teaser earlier this month, but if you have any kind of stress or anxiety, we're really going to be diving deep into that, giving you a bunch of really useful, powerful strategies that you can use to eliminate the stress, get rid of it permanently. And we'll be really helping individuals too. So you can come with any personal questions you have to that as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, this
All
is great. Thank you so much, Jill, for taking your time. And we thank everyone, to our viewers and listeners for being with us tonight.
right. Absolutely. Thank you,
Yeah.
everyone. We are so grateful for all of you, and we'll see you next time.